Hello dear students, this is your revision video for the semester exam of social science. Now before starting this, let me tell you the portion. It is chapter number 1, Rajput Age, New Ruler and States, chapter number 2, the Delhi Sultanate, chapter number 3, Mughal Empire, chapter number 10, Earth's internal composition and landforms, and chapter number 15, Equality in Democracy. Now chapter 1, 2 and 3 have already been covered in second unit test, so their weightage will be less than chapter number 10 and 15. So it will be like 40 marks for 3 chapters and 20 marks for chapter 10 and 15. Now let me give you the paper style. The paper style will be, you know that it is a 3-hour paper for 80 marks. Question number 1 will be match the following for 5 marks. Question number 2, multiple choice questions. You will be given 10 questions with options and you will have to choose the correct answer. It is of 10 marks. Question number 3 is fill in the blanks for 10 marks. Now students, again I am telling you that I will be asking you questions from within the textbook. So make sure that you watch the videos, you read your textbooks and you are thorough with the concepts. Question number 4 is state whether the following sentences are true or false for 10 marks. All these questions are carrying 1 mark each. So it's like 10, 20, 30 and 5, 15, 25, 35 marks of objectives. Just one word and you will get 1 mark. Next comes the tricky part, the lengthy part. Question number 5 will be answer the following questions for 30 marks. I will be asking 10 questions and each answer will carry 3 marks. So you should be prepared that the answers will be long. I can combine 2 questions or if the short notes are small, I can even ask that in this. And question number 6 will be write short notes on the following 15 marks. 3 short notes, 5 marks each. So I hope the paper style is clear. Now let's quickly revise your syllabus. Chapter 1 was Rajput Age, New Rulers and States. Here we studied, now if you remember what we studied as per the old syllabus, chapter number 1 was 2 big states and we studied about Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II. Now this chapter is about what happened after Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II's death. Those two were great warriors, but after they died, the concept of one big ruler ruling a huge empire got over. And we started with the Rajput era, where small but powerful kingdoms came into light. So after the death of Harshvardhan, his vast empire in North India was divided into small states, and after the death of Pulkeshi II, same thing happened in South India. This started the Rajput age, and then we studied about the characteristics of Rajputs. Like they were brave, they kept their promises, they never showed their back to the enemy, they were protectors of Gau Brahmins and they would protect the surrendered, and they never practiced unrighteousness. And even the Rajput women were that brave. They would send their son and husband happily to the war front. So these kind of Rajputs were there in India. Then we studied about individual states of North India, like the dynasties, the kingdoms. It will be the Gadhwal state of Kannauj, the Chandels of Bundelkhand, or which was later known as Jijakabhakti, the Parmar kingdom of Malwa, who gave us great kings like King Bhoj, and his work like King Bhoj is considered the ideal king of India. Then the Chalukya kingdom of Anhilwad. He had the capital as Patan. Then Chedi kingdom of Dal, the Chauhan kingdom of Shakambhari, Prithviraj Chauhan, one of the most famous kings, because uh, after losing his battle, the Sultanate started, like they got the power, and the Gohil kingdom of southern Rajasthan. Then we studied about each one, like which regions they created, which how that region became famous. Like we can see the Chandel rulers of Bundelkhand. This Bundelkhand region was later known as Jijakabukti. They have great importance in Indian history because they created important cities like Khajuraho, which is famous for pilgrimage due to its magnificent temple. They have grand temples. Then they also built religious buildings and reservoirs. Then the Parmar dynasty. We had king like King Bhoj Parmar. He established Bhojpur, a beautiful city named Bhojpur, which today is known as Bhopal. He also established a university college in Dharanagri. And then the Chauhan dynasty. Now these Chauhan dynasty or Chahaman dynasty was ruling in different regions. So the Shakambari, the Chauhan of Shakambari, that was one such dynasty, and there Ajay Raj sat on the throne. Ajay Raj established Ajay Meru, which is later known as Ajmer. Then at the same time there was the Solanki dynasty, and his daughter was married to Prithviraj Chauhan, Arnoraj of Chauhan dynasty. And after this, his son Someshwar Chauhan came to the throne, and then Prithviraj III. Prithviraj III is very important because he defeated Shihabuddin Ghori in the Tarai plain. And next year in 1192, when again there was a battle between the Prithviraj Chauhan and Shihabuddin Ghori, Prithviraj was defeated, and this started the Delhi Sultanate. So this battle is considered a landmark in Indian history. Then we studied about Vanraj Chawda. He founded Anhilwad Patan, and this city was named after his friend Anhil Bharwad. So he was his childhood friend, and he did this. Then there were other kings as well, like and even the queens and queen mother, or we can say Rani and Rajmata. We studied about Rani Udaymati, who was daughter of ruler of Junagadh Rakhengar, was married to Bhimdev I Solanki, and she built the world famous temple Rani Ki Vav in Patan, which has been declared as World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Then Siddharaj Jaisi's mother, Rajmata Meenal Devi or Mainala Devi, was the ideal queen mother. She did lot of things to give justice to the people. It was her decision to stop pilgrimage texts at Somnath as well as construct Malav Lake in Dwarka. Then we studied like how Hemchandra Acharya ji composed a grammar book Siddha Hem Shabda Anushasan during the reign of Siddharaj Jaisi, and he composed Kumar Pal Charitra during showing the work of Kumar Pal. And then we studied about the Waghela dynasty. Karan Dev Waghela was the last ruler of Rajput era in Gujarat. After that, the Sultanate came, and then we studied about the rulers of Bengal. There we had the Pala dynasty, the Sen dynasty, and in the Sen dynasty, Vijay Sen, his son Ballal Sen had composed Dan Sagar and Adbhut Sagar texts. Then about the Sultan. When the sultans were there in Gujarat, we had one sultan named Ahmad Shah. He established Ahmedabad, so this is named after him. and this was all about the states of North India. After that, we studied about the states of South India and their dynasty. The first was Chalukya dynasty. After Pulkeshi I, we had Pulkeshi II, and when these Chalukya dynasties had different branches like Kalyani Chalukyas, Vengi Chalukyas, and even Vatapi Chalukyas. So after the Chalukyas, we had Rashtrakuta dynasty, then the Yadav dynasty. In your textbook, there is a mistake. Two states of Yadav dynasty existed around this time in Gujarat. It's not in Gujarat, it's in South India. Devgiri and Dwarsamudra. The Hoysal dynasty ruled in Dwarsamudra, and Devgiri was ruled by the Yadavs. Then, after the Kalyani Chalukyas, the new kingdom emerged of Warangal, and there also we had the dynasty like Pallav dynasty. Then the Chola Mandal was ruled by the Chola dynasty, then the Chera dynasty, and this was in short description about these states of South India. Then the administration of Rajput era, how the position of the king was hereditary, but it was not sure that only the eldest son, the who will become the king, was appointed by the ministers, or we can say the secretary. People will choose the next king, though his position was hereditary from his family only, but not necessarily the eldest king. Then we also studied about the trade and e-commerce, like how the land revenue was the main source of income, and it was 1/6 part of production, which was also called bhag. And the two important ports of Gujarat, Stambhatirth and Bhrigukash, or Khambhat and Bharuch ports of Gujarat, were famous for foreign trade at that time. And at last, we studied about the foreign attacks on India, how due to the wealth people were attracted and they were trying to invade India. So these rulers had a fight with them. But the last battle of Prithviraj Chauhan, after that Shihabuddin Ghori had his rule. I mean, not necessarily Shihabuddin Ghori, but this Sultanate was established. In between also, many invaders tried to invade, but one such invader was Muhammad Ghazni. He was successful in invading Somnath and he looted all its wealth. So that was about chapter 1. Same way we have chapter 2, the Delhi Sultanate. How after the Rajput era came to an end, and when Shihabuddin Ghori had victory over Prithviraj Chauhan, he laid the foundation of of Delhi Sultanate. So when Ghori came to, after his death, his slave Ghulam, it is also called the Ghulam dynasty or the slave dynasty, Qutbuddin Aibak became the first Sultan of Delhi Sultanate, and he tried to maintain this power. But after his death, we had Iltutmish, his son-in-law, who came to the power, and he established Chahalgani or the Chargan force, that is 40 Turkish nobles, to make the Sultanate supreme. And after Iltutmish's death, his daughter Razia Sultana was the successor. Now Razia Sultana was the first woman ruler in the Indian history. She faced many issues and her reign was short-lived. Then we had Khilji dynasty, where Jalaluddin Khilji was the ruler, but his ambitious son-in-law Alauddin came to the throne, and he did certain reforms, like the famous poet Amir Khusro was during the rule of Alauddin Khilji. Next we had the Tughlaq dynasty. In the Tughlaq dynasty, we have Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who tried to make many changes. He was thinking of shifting the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, and he also tried to change the symbolic currency experiment, but most of his schemes had failed. And during his time, the African traveler named Ibn Battuta was he had visited India. Then at the same time, the invader Taimur Lang, he had sorry after Muhammad bin Tughlaq, we had Firoz Shah. After his death, Taimur Lang invaded Delhi, and because of this, the Tughlaq dynasty was weakened and its power became limited. And the last one is Sayyid dynasty and Lodhi dynasty. Now, we have to remember, like, Lodhi dynasty, Ibrahim Lodhi, he was the last Sultan of India. He was defeated by Babur in the first battle of Panipat in 1526, and Sultanate era came to an end and the Mughal rule started. Then we studied about the administration during the Sultanate period. We had central rule, provincial rule, and local government. Just the region, central rule, where at the center was Sultan, then his chief minister was Wazir, and they had different departments which were being taken care of. The provincial rule, provinces means the districts or the jagirs or the iktas. There we had the iktidar and mukti. And then the local government means based on that particular region, that small region. We had sheikh and paragnas, and these village administration was headed by Mukhi or Mukaddam. Then the forts and other constructions. Students, this you will have to remember, like the Qutub Minar, built by Qutubuddin Aibak. Then mosque named Quwwatul Islam, even that was built by Qutubuddin Aibak. Then the Dhai Din Ka Jhopda, even that was built by him, which was located in Ajmer. Then Iltutmish had Hosei Shami, Shami Idgah, and Jama Masjid. Now students, Jama Masjid, that name is common, but the regions are different. Then Alauddin Khilji had Alai Darwaza, Siri Fort, and a town named Siri, and Hosei Khas. And during the Tughlaq rule, we had Tughlaqabad, Firozabad, Hisar, Jaunpur, Firozpur, and Fatehabad. And after this, we also studied about different tombs and mosques during the Sayyid and Lodhi dynasty. Now, during the same time, during the Sultanate, it's not that whole of India was under the Sultanate rule. We had certain Hindu kings as well who were still holding their empire. So during this we studied about the Vijayanagar Empire, which was established by two brothers named Harihar Rai and Bakka Rai. They were of the which dynasty? Okay, Sangam dynasty. Yes, sorry for the pause. Of Sangam dynasty, and then it was ruled by Saluva dynasty, Tuluva dynasty, and Aravidu dynasty. From the Tuluva dynasty, we had a great ruler named Krishna Dev Rai. His work was very good, like he was known as the Bhoj of Andhra. When we say King Bhoj, he is an ideal king. So this way in Andhra also we had a good king. He was Krishna Dev Rai. He was not only just a great ruler, but he was also good with administration. He won many battles, and he created lakes and dug canals in the state and enriched the agriculture also flourished during his time. He abolished unjust taxes, like he was a just king, and gained love of the people. He also established a town named Nagalpur near Vijayanagar and decorated it with various buildings and temples. He was a scholar and he wrote several texts in Sanskrit and Telugu. Then we studied about Bahmani kingdom and the end of Sultanate rule. Now the end of Sultanate rule, we already know, like it was because it was during the battle of first battle of Panipat, where Ibrahim Lodi lost against Babur. So that was the end of Muslim era. That was the end of the Sultanate period, and the Muslim era began, or the Mughal Empire. Now this Mughal Empire, we already know how it was established, and then the rulers, one by one. Babur, the first, the intelligent and the powerful warrior, he also was fond of writing, and he wrote autobiography, Tuzuk-e-Baburi or Babarnama, which is a famous work. Then Humayun, his son, he had divided rule, like he was there, he lost the battle against Sher Shah Suri, and then he went back, but after the death of Sher Shah Suri, he came again and he ruled. Then Sher Shah Suri, he was a Muslim of the Afghan dynasty, and his original name was Farid Khan. He did various work, like he built the long highway Grand Trunk Road, which connected Bengal and North India. He built inns for traders and pilgrims, and he established a new postal system. He died in 1545, and after that Humayun came back, and the Mughal Empire was re-established. Then we had Akbar. Now we already know that Akbar was a just ruler, and he had religious tolerance. After that, we can say that he was born in the home of a Hindu Rajput ruler in Amarkot, and he adopted liberal religious policy. He was a secular king, and he was also a social reformer. He opposed child marriages and sati system, and we can also say that India was economically prosperous during Akbar's rule. After Akbar, we have Jahangir, and he also did various good work, and who was a great painter, and his wife Noor Jahan was intelligent and ambitious. Then we have Shah Jahan, whose nickname was Khurram. He conquered South India, and we know Shah Jahan from his great work of constructing Taj Mahal for his wife, in memory of his wife Mumtaz. And the last one is Aurangzeb. Like, he was a tyrant. We can say he was a tyrant because he was strong and powerful, but his policies were not liberal. He destroyed many temples, and he was trying to conquer his region, like others' region, and expand his empire. He sent his own brother to jail and even killed one. This shows like how ambitious he was and how badly he wanted to rule. Now, at this same time, when the Mughals were trying to expand their kingdom, we still had Hindu kings in different regions. One such king was Rana Sangram Singh of Mewar. After that, we already studied about Maharana Pratap, who had a battle against Akbar, and the battle of Haldi Ghati between Akbar and Maharana Pratap is quite, we can say, historical, like it is noteworthy. Then we had Veer Durgadas Rathod, and the last is Chhatrapati Shivaji, who established the Maratha Empire. Then the administration of the Mughals. Here we had different kinds of ministers, like we have first the Wazir or the Diwan-e-Wazir-e-Kul, who was the head of finance and revenue system. Then the head of army was Mir Baksh, and the spies were called Vakyanawis, the department of Mir Saman, which looked after the personal needs of the emperor, and the head of the judiciary, Qazi. This was about the Mughal administration. Now, the revenue system. The revenue system, we can say, like it was Mansabdari system, where the revenue was 1/3 of the annual produce, and the founder of Akbar's revenue system was Todarmal. This system was one of the highest paid system in the world. Now, the culture during the Mughal age. We have studied about the architecture, the painting, the literature, the music, all that. You can have just a quick look. And the end of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was on the brink of collapse, like it was about to die after the death of Aurangzeb, because after Aurangzeb there was no other as powerful ruler which can hold the Mughal dynasty. But still, there were different weak rulers of Mughal dynasty. There were Nizam of Hyderabad, the Nawabs of Bengal and Bihar, the Rajput states of Rajasthan were still ruling, the Marathas were there, the Sikh state of Punjab were there. So this way the states were divided. We did not have any one particular ruler. But as these people were fighting amongst themselves, we had invasion, not actually invasion, but the trading companies, they tried to just establish themselves in India, which we will study later on or in the coming standards as the British rule. Now students, just while giving you this summary, I have made a long video, so the next two chapters we will do some other time. So that's it for today. Bye.